Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here with my lovely co-host, Tanya. How are you doing today, Tanya?
I'm great. I'm really excited to talk about this episode.
Oh, so am I. So am I. And if this is your first time on Reality Realness, well, then welcome. We love having you. So make sure that you please, let's get the timing, subscribe right down below. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. I think we're at 631 right now. We are getting there. It is getting close, and we love talking to you. So join us in the chat for all of our live episodes. So today, as Tanya mentioned, we are going to be talking about episode 5, I think it is, of The Bachelor season 25 with Matt James. So what are your overall thoughts of the episode?
I'm happy that Matt did something. I had very low expectations just because, men, but I'm really pleasantly surprised with him actually doing something.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week, or I mentioned it anyways, that I was kind of disappointed that he was allowing some of this drama and gossipy stuff go on and not really, or not even allowing, taking a stand when people come in to intercept a date or whatnot. He just didn't seem like, he's going to stand up for what he wants. So yes, I totally agree that I was happy to see him take a stand here. Dolores, well, she wasn't able to be here live, but she had a couple of comments. So Dolores says, "Hi guys, just popped in to say hi on my way to an appointment. Gosh, this working where living is getting old. A girl has to do what she's got to do." But just in her opinion, Matt, she thinks, is one of the most sincere gentlemen she's ever seen on the show. Refreshing. Okay, being hot and nice. Shoot, if I wasn't married for 30 years already, I might go and wink at him. Do you agree with Dolores here? Do you think that he is the most sincere gentleman?
I think there's a level of sincerity that's there for sure. I think, like we discussed last week, he's shown that he listens to people. And that he has been a pretty good active listener, I think. So he's done a good job with that. He's really meeting people where they're at. I appreciated his demeanor in this episode because to me, it really allowed for everything else to happen because there were consequences for people's actions. And he really did say, this is not okay, and I'm actually going to do something about it. However, I do just want to say that I hope that Matt does this when he's around his male friends and when he's in the presence of people that are not women, because I appreciate what he did, but that's the type of behavior that you also need to do amongst friends or amongst people that are maybe not acting the way that they should be acting. So I hope that he does that in his personal life. But that's my only asterisk on that. I don't want to be he's perfect, but that's something that I'm curious about.
It doesn't seem like he does. We talked about it a little bit about some potentially male friends of his poking fun at Victoria's body and him not shutting it down. So we don't know if this were his close friends or his good friends, or if he said something after, what the clip's from. So we don't know all the details. So yes, I'll agree with you, put a little asterisk. I do think he's a good guy. I think that he is kind. I think he has good intentions. I don't think that he is going to, I don't know if he's going to fall in love necessarily, because he does seem to have a little bit of a veneer that's with him being on The Bachelor, but it could be because he's unfamiliar with having all eyes on him and being the stud that everybody's fighting over. So I'm just going to give him, I still enjoy him as a Bachelor. I'm enjoying him more than I've enjoyed maybe I don't remember the last Bachelor that I enjoyed.
Peter would never do what Matt did this episode. Peter would be loving that the girls are fighting over him. Peter would never put his foot down in this way. Yeah. So I do agree. He's showing himself to be one of the better Bachelors that we've had in recent history. For sure.
For sure. Hi, Sam. Yes, the queen is gone. Spoiler, guys. If you don't know what that means, then be a spoiler. Hi, Tamika. Hey, hey, hey. So Tamika says Matt is a reformed frat boy. Is a yet? What's the typo?
Has got yet to be reformed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's a reformed frat boy yet, but
is yet to be a reformed frat boy. Okay, so you still think that Matt is a frat boy? I could see him still being a little bit fratty, like the things that kind of antics that he does with Tyler. You know, I was cruising his Instagram today, and you know, on a skateboard, and you know, he's a little bit fratty, but he's too young for me. But he's right for somebody. I think that he is capable of being in a relationship, and I think he's capable of being a good guy in a relationship. So I'm liking him so far, for the most part. So they started off the beginning of the episode with Ryan and Brittany walking, and then they passed Victoria and Kit. Now, I wasn't starting to take notes because I thought they were doing the same thing they've done every other episode, was having like, oh, the big drama scene, and then we'll see it again later on. But then I realized, like, oh no, they're actually just starting the episode this way. What do you think about this choice from the producers to put this, like, we never really see people outside doing things, like they're both going on walks, two pairs crossing each other. Like, it was very not Bachelor-esque, in my opinion.
I feel like the producers or the editors or both, like, just recently watched Bridgerton and wanted to throw in this like Victorian promenade of them walking the grounds of Nemacolin and just have this awkward interaction.
You know what? Like, you nailed it, because like, I've seen like the first episode and a half or so of Bridgerton, and they were exactly right, with like women like looking over their shoulders. Like if they were wearing full on, like, you know, that era type garb, and like with their hair up and looking at that man over there, I see it.
That's what it felt like to me. I was like, this is like, when those walks happen in those period pieces, it's always like scandalous, you know, like some deep conversations happen, or like people talk about each other or whatever. So I was like, this is that, just in the lens of The Bachelor and on the property of Nemacolin. I guess there's not much to do than walk around. So
I think you nailed it there. They probably re-edited this in because Bridgerton has only been out for like, I don't know, since Christmas or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went and like got inspired and just did a little tweak. BB.
Yeah.
Hello. It's imagination. Like my ass up. It's not like it's imagination. I think that she nailed it. She called the inspiration, and I'm here for it. I feel blessed. Thank you. With me. So the girls are actually getting ready for the rose ceremony, and it just seems so out of sorts. Like, we were saying last week that we're so confused by what's going on in the episode, and even this week too, I'm still confused with what's going on because the structure is completely gone. Now, did we fix the structure at the end of this episode? Was there a second?
Did we? No, we didn't, because
right before it with the yeah. So I just need them to get it back on track, because it's actually not enjoyable. I can't take my notes effectively because I'm like, what's happening right now? Is there a rose ceremony right now? Okay, well, there's a rose ceremony right now, and Victoria knows that she's saying, but Matt wants to address the toxicity and bullying, which I was like, I thought that he was going to do it maybe one-on-one. I didn't really think that he was going to stand up in front of the group and address them this way, like the teacher scolding the students. It was a little bit awkward in that regard, especially because like you see the cuts of like Anna making all these faces, like, you know, I'm like, awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But he does say, if you have to belittle anyone, that is not what I'm looking for in a wife. What do you think of this whole little scene, Tanya?
I think that he's like 100% right about that point, to be like, if you're going to be the type of person that is constantly bringing people down, that we've seen happen on this show, talking negatively about people, anything essentially that Anna did in the last episode or Victoria's done this entire time, then why would you want to be with that person?
Not at all.
Like, that's just like, at this point, it's like, it's your character. It's not even like you made a mistake, which is a lot of the angle that they tried to spin it as later on. Of course, after you get caught is when you start to feel remorseful for your actions. But like, nope, that's not what I would want in a partner. And I guess I just was surprised because I didn't think he was going to be so no tolerance about it. But I like that. I like that it was like, no, sorry. That's it.
And a lot of people have like their gauge for their partner, like on how they treat a person, like a waiter or waitress at a restaurant. Like if they're rude to them, like that's indicative of their character. Like, and that would probably not be somebody that they would want to have, lifelong partnership with. And so this, I think, it's indicative of that. Like the way that Victoria's treated people. I know she, as you said, she's saying things like, I'm just like playful. I'm just like, I'm not being serious about it. Whatever. She's still being rude and people are still being hurt and offended. And just because your intentions are one way, like, doesn't mean it's received in a different way or received by anybody else in a different way. So I agree with you 100%. I'm happy that he finally like shook these women up, because I thought it was just pretty crazy that they thought that they could get away with being so nasty to these new girls without it coming back to haunt them in some sort of capacity. So he calls over Brittany to talk, and Anna knows that it's going to be about her, obviously. I didn't write down any. Well, Brittany and Matt, they're talking, and Brittany was getting a little bit emotional, saying that what Brittany said about her mom watches the show, and regardless of whether it's true or it isn't true, I don't really care either way, but she may care about how people in her life picture her and think of her, and do they think that she's a liar or that she, you know what I mean? And so I felt for her in this moment, and I do feel as though she was being genuine and vulnerable with him. Do you think she was faking it at all, or like putting it on any extra? No?
No, I don't think she was faking it. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's unfortunate that we live in a world where that is so stigmatized that even if somebody rumors that that's something that you do as a career that's not even true, that you feel like that would, impact the way people look at you, which I do think she's right about, as we're seeing play out. Like, unfortunately, some people do that. So it's shitty, and she has every right to be upset. But what I love about the way this all played out is when Katie told him what was happening, she didn't name names, or at least not that we saw. Maybe she did in a wider lens of that conversation, but she just said, people's lives are being ruined by these rumors. It's toxic. And that's what he had to work off of. So everyone showed their asses in the way that it came out in the wash. Like, she didn't actually say, Victoria did this, so-and-so did this, so-and-so said this. She was just like, this is what's happening. And then everybody spiraled out once they realized that there was going to be accountability for their actions. So it just kind of like domino affected. And it was kind of beautiful to watch, to see just the backtracking that was happening amongst all these girls.
It was delicious. So we have MJ and Anna talking, and Anna just being like, I was totally out of character, and like just, starting to realize how whatever she was saying was going to be perceived. And then you usually want the Bachelor to come and grab you, but then Matt comes and grabs Anna, and Anna's walking with Matt. And this is the best that I thought she's ever looked, which is very quick. I was like, wow, she looks gorgeous today. And so Matt and her are sitting down talking, and he doesn't have any he had a wall up there for sure. Like, he was just like, not really allowing her to penetrate his heart chakra there. He's like, he was pretty stone cold, and she's talking about her being shallow, and this was the worst moment for her. And I'm like, she could have at least tried to spin it to make her not look even worse. Like, I think that she did a bad job with even defending herself. Just be like, I don't know if this would work or not, but maybe say something like, hey, like, I realized what I said was inappropriate, and I lost track of the fact that we were on TV and this could be aired with, like, to all of America and more. And it should have been something I never shared. And if I were to share, it would something be one-on-one in private and not on camera. And it was just a poor judgment error. I'm so sorry. I've apologized to her and I will apologize to her again. But no, by no means did I want her to ruin her life.
Yeah.
He could have been receptive to that.
I think it's like, I mean, I didn't think he was going to like say you're out right then and there. I thought like maybe it would go to the actual rose ceremony and then he would not give her a rose. But I think like the best thing that can be done when you have made a mistake, or I don't think it's a mistake, but as she referred to it as, is to just take accountability for it and accept that there's going to be a consequence for that. And the reason that you're accepting accountability isn't to make excuses for yourself. It's just to say, I fucked up and I'm owning that. And that's that. Like, there's no backtracking. There's no nothing. Like, there's really no other way this could have played out for her. So I think she should have taken the L and just actually owned up to the fact that she did bring this stuff up to be malicious. She was relishing in throwing that info out there. She was loving it. She was laughing it up until this point. She was thinking she was in such a good place with Matt because of that. So it's like, no, you need to own that what you did was wrong. And there's no prize for that. You don't get to stay. You actually still have to go, but you have to own it.
And you don't even get to stay to the rose ceremony. Like, you have to go, like, almost, it's kind of humiliating in that the fact that it's like she doesn't get to say goodbye to the girls. He just like walks her out and they just get to talk and gossip about her as she's leaving. So I was like, ooh, yikes. But Matt does say, and I was worried that he was going to allow her to stay.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you're not a horrible person. I've done things in my past that like I regret. But then he switched it around and basically says that she wasn't the woman that he wants to be with, basically. And she started crying and wailing. Like, do you think it's because of him, or the fact that she's going to be off the show, or that she's embarrassed about how she must be portrayed if she's going to be kicked off the show for whatever she's done? What do you think her tears were all about?
I think
uncomfortable.
I think the tears are the tears of someone who thinks they can get away with shit and then not getting away with it and not getting your way. I think she thought that what she did was solidifying her position in the show, and she was feeling herself. And I think it's embarrassing to be called out for doing something really bad. And I think that's why she's crying, not actually because of Matt, but it's the way that she'll appear to everybody else. Her wheels are probably turning about how this is going to look on the show, which is probably something you should think about before you do what you did. You know, I think it was tears of embarrassment and tears of just like, oh no, I didn't think I would actually get in trouble for this, or I thought I'd be able to excuse my way out of it, because she's likely been able to do that in her life before.
One thing he did says, like, he has a responsibility to the women, to Brittany, and to himself, ... to follow his heart. Oh, and she starts crying because she knew that the guillotine was coming down for her head. But she says, I can't see you being part of that journey anymore. I'll walk you out. Deuces. Like, I was very surprised that he laid it down like that. And I say thank you, Matt, because like I wanted to see him take some control of the season a little bit. You know, we keep on talking about how it seems as though Chris Harrison and the producers are heavy-handed in how they're curating this experience and this journey and all of his dates and all that stuff. And so I feel as though he decided that he didn't want her to be around anymore.
Yeah.
I was happy that was a thing. BB says it definitely was great TV. Just like to start off the episode like that, I was like, okay, that's a pretty big start here. Hi, Natalie. So Natalie enjoyed this episode, and she's done with MJ. We will get to why we're all done with MJ very soon, for sure.
So disappointing. I thought like she was so cool at first, MJ. And I was like, ooh, who's this cool girl? She's beautiful. She seems fun. Like, oh, her hair. And then suddenly things really took a turn for the worst.
I mean, I've never been in that kind of environment before. But I can only say that, like, the one time I can kind of understand what must happen is I was working at this bar, and there was a guy that I didn't even really like, but he used to always flirt with me. And then a new girl came on, some new blonde girl started working with us, and he stopped flirting with me and he started flirting with her. And I got jealous, even though I'm not interested in him moving forward. And like, I should be happy for him to be finding somebody that, you know, he gels with. But like, I definitely got a little bit kind of mean about Patty. Granted, I was in my 20s, but
Yeah.
early 30s. Ooh. But I think I was 31. But I can understand a little bit feeling like that, the jealousy over what you think is yours or the attention that you're assuming to get. So I'm trying to understand what happens to these girls. And that's the only thing that I can kind of relate it to, is just like being used to having the attention and somebody else taking the attention away, without them solidifying that there is something with you, solid with you guys. It's like, you know, when like someone's married, they have like a no-go zone, like you can tell, or in a long-term relationship, like you can tell that like they're not allowing anybody else's energy in, you know, they're not flirting, they're not doing any of that stuff, but he's doesn't do that at all. He's open to all these flirtations and other women advances, and so I think that must be what the problem is, because she was cool and now she's gone downhill. I don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Dino. Thanks for joining us. First time catching us live.
Hey.
New sub. Yes, enjoy the recap. Yes.
Welcome.
I usually am pretty slow on the job. I try to get to everybody's comments. So if you leave a comment in the chat, we'll most likely get to them at some point. And please, no spoilers. We like tea, but nothing that spoils the outcome or the ending of future episodes. So thank you for being part of our recap. So, okay. Ooh, Natalie says, I saw that Matt threw some shade at Victoria on Twitter. Natalie, can you find this, please? If you can find out what he said, that would be fabs. Tamika said, so no one got a rose for that second group date, which was just weird. Oh, I don't remember that yet. But correct, body shaming is not okay. So is that the tweet that you're talking about, Natalie, or is it something completely different? Piper got the group date rose. They just didn't show it, says Dino T. Okay, that's interesting to know.
Really?
And I don't buy Victoria's apologies for taking the crown on Instagram apology. I don't buy anything about Victoria. So Bean says, Matt has credibility in the moment because he admits that he has said bad things about people in the past. Okay. And to create a safe environment for the women, that was also an important point. Yes. MJ was given as to who she is all season. We just not believe her until now. LOL. Bean, what moments do you remember of her being kind of shitty?
I think it's just like the way that it's presented changes up. Like, first of all, her actions, yes, like they are what they are, and we're all like sketched out by her behavior. But like, remember when they did that capture the heart date or whatever, the capture the flag one, and they were editing her like in a way where I was like, oh, that's so fun, like she's like feisty, she just wants to have a good time, and like it's almost because it was edited with like different music underneath, I was like, oh, like what an interesting girl. But now I'm thinking back and I'm like, if that was presented differently, I would have been like, this person is so annoying and so aggressive. So I think Bean is right. Like, it's kind of always been there. And then particularly last episode and this episode, it's really like now she's assuming the villain position, essentially.
I'm shocked, though, like how many villains have emerged from this season. It's like, it's very surprising. And I'm wondering if it's because they're all not actually interested in him, but like they want to get something from the show, you know? I don't know. It's weird. So Anna leaves in her car. She's disappointed in herself. Bye-bye, Anna. I do think that she's going to end up making an appearance on Paradise, though. I think that ABC will give her a redemption arc or whatnot. What do you think? Do you think she has longevity in Bachelor Nation?
I mean, they love messy people, and she's also proven that she's producible in the sense that she carried out this entire rumor thing that was clearly very produced. So yeah, I mean, I'd be running to cast her for Bachelor in Paradise if I'm a producer.
Fair. Oh my gosh. So Chelsea, though, this was really interesting because last week there was a couple moments where I thought that it was spliced in reactions to certain comments that Victoria was saying or whatnot. And one was Chelsea making kind of like a a snarky kind of face about something that Victoria said, but it was supporting whatever Victoria was saying. And so then she comments here today being like that she didn't think that the environment was toxic and didn't see any bullying herself. And so she wanted to hear from the new girls. So do you think that she actually was kind of like participating in the toxicity and I didn't see it last week for sure, but now I'm like,
this whole thing's so difficult because from the discourse that I've seen online from last week, there was like this big move for anyone who seemed to be kind of on the side of Victoria and Anna, or OGs versus new women, as being kind of like canceled because they didn't stand up for like the new girls being there, or they weren't kind to them or whatever. And Chelsea was kind of in that conversation. I didn't love where she seemed to stand on this issue, but I also think it's a weird clip to judge on because she was asking them a question. She was like, I'm just curious, or I'm like wondering what you thought was toxic or whatever. And it's like, well, that's pretty obvious, but also like it's too hard when people are like in the periphery and just seeing what's happening with them, whether they seem to agree or not agree with something. Like, I don't know. I don't really know based on those clips. So it's hard.
It's worrisome though, because
it's
making me look at her and be like, oh, like, is she not observant enough to be able to recognize when people are being treated quite poorly? I thought it would be, it was very surprising to have for her to have blinders on in that capacity. So
it was definitely like a question mark. Like I wasn't like, yeah, girl, call. I was like, what? Okay, I don't love this for you, but
she said it maybe in a way like, hey guys, like, I'm so sorry if I've been part of any toxicity. Like, can you give me some examples? Because I definitely, I don't actually think that would be good to say.
Right? Like the entire thing, like at that point, I think that the essence of the issue is that nobody besides Katie, from what's been depicted, seemed to have any empathy for the new girls coming in and to say that something was wrong from before. Everyone seemed to be perfectly comfortable in piling into that situation. And whether they were like main offenders or just on the periphery, nobody really spoke up about it. So no matter what, as we saw, if people start apologizing now, which was what started happening, you're not going to believe that because it seems like it's reaction to the fact that people are actually discussing that it's not okay now. So it's like if you stood for that before, or if you apologized sincerely before this all fell out, then I would have a little bit more faith in that person to be able to be like, okay, you know what, I accept what you're saying. But it seemed like, now Matt's sending people home. Gotta apologize and tell everyone that I'm sorry for the shitty things that I did.
It was bad. I was embarrassed for them when they're just like even Victoria was like, I'm sorry I took your crown.
You're not sorry. You thought that was funny.
Not sorry at all. Oh, I definitely thought that the girls were scared of going home now, and the apology, like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like everybody just like the sorries were just falling out of the mouth. Even Victoria is apologizing, sort of, and so Ryan actually talks to Matt, and we didn't really see much of their interactions beforehand, but it seems as though Victoria might have called Ryan a hoe because she was a dancer. And I'm assuming professional dancer, but whether she is or she is some other type of dancer, doesn't matter. Like, to be calling someone a hoe on national television is not great. And so that she doesn't believe Victoria's apology and doesn't believe that she's sincere. I actually thought that Ryan looked gorgeous, even prettier this episode than she did her premiere episode. So she has friends in the house because they're helping her with her makeup or something that Victoria does not have. What did you think though about, because Ryan was crying and we hadn't really seen much of her and their interaction. Like, what do you think about this scene?
I think that obviously the things that Victoria said were hurtful, you know? So I think when I observe like Ryan and Matt's interaction, I don't necessarily think that that's the direction that she wanted it to go, but it came out that way. And to Matt's point later on, like the intent behind what people were saying, which is also still not good intent because you don't just call someone a hoe like for like lols, like to compliment them or something.
I mean,
it's like
done well, but not in this.
Yeah, but it's like it's not Drag Race. Like it's The Bachelor where you're literally calling someone a hoe or implying that they're a hoe. Which, as a term, I'm just like, what year is this, anyways? That we're even like using this terminology. Anyways, the point is like whether they intended to hurt someone's feelings or not, and I believe they did intend to hurt people's feelings. That's how it was received, and it was hurtful to people. So she's upset. But I think her perspective was spot on when she was narrating like apologies are coming left and right and it's difficult to know who to believe. Like absolutely that's what was happening. Absolutely.
Like Serena P was apologizing, and I was like, ooh, front runners getting scared that they might have been part of the toxicity, which I thought was very interesting. Dino does not buy their apology either. Yeah, I mean, it's because they want to stay on the show no matter what. Ryan's bio says the dancer choreographer in Brooklyn. Okay.
Awesome.
I mean, even so, I've actually been considering, well, I don't know if it's hoish, but like, I love like experimental dance, like nudity. I don't know if you've ever watched this show, but it's called, oh my God, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's like basically all these like, conceptual sex art shows. And like, I think it's really cool, but like, that's something I can see people considering to be ho-ish. But even that in itself, like, even if she was doing that and she's a choreographer for that, or even a new dancer for that matter, like to be called a hoe in a negative sort of way.
Yeah. Like Victoria wishes that she was a professional dancer. Like, come on. She's not exactly offering us, poise in terms of how she carries herself. So like, yeah, it definitely shitting on someone's profession. That's like actually legit. Like, come on, Victoria. I also just want to say she's basically gaslighting everybody. Like this concept when you're being called out for something and you're like, I'm not being malicious, I'm just being playful. That's gaslighting. That's gaslighting people because that's not what you were doing. No. And like I've said it before and I'll say it again, she's very Trumpy. Like these behaviors are like very Trumpian vibes. I don't like it. I don't trust it. I'm not a fan. And I'm actually so glad that she's gone.
Good at it though. Like there's some people that are able to like at least spin what has been said, but she even sounds still as though she's lying and like that she knows that she's lying and that there's no way that she could even believe herself. But she decides that she didn't want to continue having a conversation with Ryan, who was expressing herself, I thought, in quite an eloquent and poised and calm and not rude at all sort of fashion. And it wasn't even finger pointing. She was just kind of expressing how she was feeling. And Victoria couldn't care less and decided to get up and walk away and go and grab Matt. But Matt did not look sold at all. He did not look like he believed Victoria in the slightest. I was here for how he was reacting. What do you think about this interaction?
I'm like, thanks for getting there, Matt. I'm glad it took this long for you to understand and several people telling you that this was the case. Like, again, Marilyn is like shaking her fists at the sky, just like I said, this is what was happening. Like, come on. I'm glad he got there, but it should not have taken to this point for him to realize that she was bad. That being said, I get that the show's produced and they probably wanted to keep her around for a while and that maybe wasn't his decision. But still, like, thanks for arriving at the point that we've all been at.
He does say, though, bye, Katie. And I was like, why, Matt?
I cringed when he did that. I was like, you were doing so well.
Like, no. Don't name names. Like I was also very irritated enough to write it down. He mentions like the calling Ryan a hoe, and she says it was taken out of context. I'm just like, what context are you talking about? And he just basically gets up. Like, I don't know if they just edited it that way, but like, he don't want to like hear the end of that conversation. He just gets up, and you hear Victoria's like, I make the house toxic, like sarcastic, but crying. And then, she's like, they're going to the rose ceremony now, but then she goes to the washroom, and she could hear her talking to somebody in the washroom, seemingly her producer, and like walking around. Like, she honestly was acting like she was the lead, in my opinion. Like, how they were following her around and seeing all those behind the scene moments, I felt like we were on Claire's season of The Bachelorette, where like was a lot of those back scene shots. How do you feel about the meltdown we now call the dethroning of Queen Victoria?
The descent into complete and utter madness that went down. I think at first I was like kind of on Team Victoria as an actor. Now I'm on Team Victoria as a narcissist and actually believes in the things that she's been saying, and now is spiraling out because she's been called to task for everything that she's done. And it was like karma at its finest,
Well, and I think she thought that the producers would protect her.
Yes.
Like being like, you wanted me to do this. You wanted me to be like this way. Like I didn't, she didn't do that, or we didn't hear her say anything like that. But that's probably what's going on in her head, that like, I'm looking like a bad guy. Like now, like, anyway, she should have figured that out, because
she definitely felt untouchable. Like, they're not going to get rid of me. Like, I'm fine. It's like, no, you're not fine, actually.
It's kind of like the how everybody turned on Johnny and Sally, like Johnny when he went to Castlemore. I do feel as though he thought he was untouchable because he was the winning couple, front runners. Like, the producers were probably treating them both like gold. Probably didn't think he could do no wrong. And then all of a sudden, when America now are kind of telling the network that we want to see more of Caleb and Justine, and all of a sudden now Johnny's a nothing. I think that that's a similar thing that happened here. It's like, oh, you were good for the ratings, and now you're not, so you're done. She didn't get the memo. Well, not enough anyways. So Chris comes in, says that the cocktail party is going to be happening right now. It's not going to be happening right now. They're going to be going straight into the rose ceremony. I still hate this, though. Like, I want to see the the cocktail parties. I want to see these women getting their time. One of the reasons why the OG girls were getting annoyed was because the new girls were coming in and getting dates, and they haven't even had a chance with them at a cocktail party. And so I don't know if they're just trying to keep that dynamic up, or they wanted Victoria to stay for the rose ceremony. Maybe she's like, I'm leaving right now. And they're like, just stay for the rose ceremony. I don't know if they just made an agreement or something, but why do you think that they went straight to the damn rose ceremony? Like, if Victoria wants to leave, go.
The timing of everything's really strange, I find, this season, because it seems like they're like cutting to the chase with a lot of scenes, which, don't get me wrong, like, I'm all for the brevity. Like, personally, I'm like, we're already like off track, so let's get to the rose ceremony. But at the same time, everything seems weird. Like, even if you think about this episode, just like big picture, so much time was spent on this, and then a definite amount of time was spent on his date with Rachel, the group date. But then it feels like that second one-on-one was kind of like 3 minutes long. So I'm just like, what bits and pieces are we using here, and why? Like, I think maybe that discussion with Anna and then with Victoria and all the people that he spoke to took up too much time. I don't know.
You can cut it. You can cut it. We could figure it out. But like, they cut things that are like confusing. So this is, I think, back to Chelsea. So Tamika's saying, I don't know if it was obvious if you're involved in the situation. We don't know what conversation she was involved in, but because of what I've seen, a lot of this situation was edited. Yeah. So for sure, we're not roasting Chelsea yet. We're just curious as to why it wasn't more clear that they're being shitty to the new people. It just seems
this is like the gray area of dissecting reality TV, where it's like, we're watching something that's edited anyways, so we're already getting a filtered view. But then I feel like when you see situations like this, you can't really judge the people that you don't see as directly involved as you can the people who we've actually seen like speak to someone negatively. Like no matter what way it's edited, we did see, like, for example, just as an isolated thing, the crown moment. We saw that Victoria took the crown off her head. It was disrespectful. Her reaction, like, that happened regardless of what music was used or not used or whatever. Like, that's not okay. Chelsea sitting nearby and saying this, or this person seemingly laughing or agreeing, like, could be that they are also with that group, but at the same time, it's not as effective for me to judge what they're doing because it's not as direct as what we saw of some other people, knowing that that's all like selected intentionally anyways. Like, there's a lot of layers to it.
A lot of layers. Sabine says, yes, Anna, Victoria, and MJ have learned very well the art of alternative facts. Yeah, they need to do better if they want to become like spin doctors, because they need some work. So Tamika says, especially when it comes to Katie, Sarah said Brie also was comforting her when she was going through a situation. They cut Brie interactions with her out for Katie.
I was wondering about that because I remember seeing Brie like helping Sarah a lot, and then she was surprisingly like not in the conversation in defense of Sarah or in support of Sarah. So I did think that was actually kind of weird.
And people are saying it's because they want Katie for Bachelorette, but seeing how it's going, I don't think that's what's happening. Thanks for agreeing with me. Maybe Matt Katie was a rookie mistake. Yeah, it was bad. Oh God, Matt. Dina says, yeah, I didn't like when he called Katie's name out. He was just doing fine. He was doing just fine. And Nelly says, when Victoria was sent home, I was like, bye. Oh, I'm like, bye what? Bye, I'll see you on Paradise. Yeah, she'll be on Paradise for sure. She's pretty. She'll probably have to be apologizing, and she'll have a lot of men that will be interested in her, I think.
I don't think so. I feel like it might be like a Chad type sitch where it's like people actually are not interested in you because you're too.
You don't think that's like somebody like a Jordan, someone that's like a fame like monger?
Maybe it would have to be like maybe another quirkier personality or something like that. But it's like some people actually don't work in Paradise. I do think she'll be asked 100%, like for sure. But I think some people that you think would do well in Paradise don't actually end up doing well in Paradise because they're actually like too wild for it or not exactly right for it, like a Chad or a Corinne or people that are like, oh, they would be so entertaining, and they're just
Corinne would have didn't get super intoxicated and have what we don't know for sure happened. So,
but will Victoria be asked to be on Paradise? 100%.
Are we 100%? Oh, sorry. I'm thinking Anna when I'm talking about Victoria here. I think that people are going to like Anna. I don't know if Victoria will get them.
Oh yeah, I could see Anna being someone that people gravitate towards on Paradise, but Victoria, no. I don't think
Anna, I wasn't talking Victoria. I think she will be asked to be on Paradise, but she might be the type of person that will be no dates, or nobody asked her on a date and she'll be sad.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, totally agree with you. And I was just kind of like, really? You don't think that people would be interested in Anna? That's what I'm thinking in my head, but you are thinking Victoria. I'm thinking Jordan for Anna, like.
Yeah, for sure. And like, unfortunately, this is the thing about like these cancel moments where it's like, oh, she did something that's so wrong, whatever. Anna's exactly the type of person where like, give it time and people's memory is very short-sighted. And I bet you they'll just spin it in a way where she's like, I've learned. And I don't like that, but I'm just saying it's what's going to happen.
It is going to happen. Before we get to the rose ceremony, so we see a lot of snippets of Victoria crying to the producers and outside in the front producers, and even saying things like Ryan is the shadiest bitch. And I'm like, just doesn't she realize she's in a situation for how she is treating other people and the names that she's calling? Like, yeah. I would never be caught saying something negative out of somebody else's mouth from that point forward until things were resolved. Like, how do you think she resolved? Was she just spiraling, or like Was this intentional or?
She had no ground to stand on, because it's like, if your main argument is my intention wasn't that, and that's just my personality, then sorry, like that's not really applicable. To Matt's point, like when she was defending calling Ryan a hoe and saying, "Oh, I didn't mean it like in that context," and he said, "In what context is it appropriate to call someone that?" And that's in a nutshell everything wrong that she's done. Like, why did you think that that would be okay? It hasn't been okay this entire time. The only time people were okay with it is when they wanted to leverage her to do their dirty work or to be supported because they knew they were doing something shitty, like Anna, where it's like, oh, now you're best friends with Victoria, or everyone's best friends with Victoria when they want her to call out someone that they don't like.
Yeah.
But maybe that was confusing her, because in her mind she's like, oh, the girls like me and we laugh and he. But again, that's like very delusional perspective for her to have.
She's even saying like, if he's going to be some idiot, believe some idiot over me, then he is not my person. Like, okay, we knew that he wasn't your person from the second the show started.
Yeah, definitely not.
Like, then calling her an idiot, like, I'm at a loss for words, as you can see. So we get to this darn rose ceremony, and Victoria is pissed with her arms folded, standing in the back, like not looking happy, not looking cute, like awkward. I think I got all the names that he called. So it's Brittany, Ryan, Rachel, and I thought it was quite telling that he told Brittany and Ryan, two of the new girls that were part of the controversy, chose them first to be like, I want to see things with them moving forward. Rachel, Serena P, someone that I missed, Kit, MJ, Jasenia, Katie, Abigail, Chelsea, Serena C, and I think that's it. Man, and Katie is in there somewhere. I said Katie. There's so many girls still. They're on episode 5. There's so many damn girls. I'm just like, still going. But the people that were left were Lauren, so the beautiful Black woman that I thought he had a good connection, or a deep connection with. I wanted to see.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Obviously Victoria. And she kind of walks up with her arms crossed and says, I feel sorry for you. I was like, geez Louise, man, she doesn't get it. Catalina, we expected her not to really make it that far, but the one person that I was surprised by was Mari. I really thought that she would have stuck around, A, because I think she's gorgeous, and B, I thought that they did have a decent rapport. Were you surprised that, say, Jasenia stuck around over Mari?
Yeah. Oh, totally. There's girls that stuck around that I thought he would have definitely eliminated before Mari. So I was surprised to see her go, especially because from what we had been seeing, it seemed like obviously their connection wasn't like so far along, but it seemed like there was one. So that's unfortunate, but that is someone who is a prime candidate for Bachelor in Paradise, who will do extremely well there if they're on it.
I could even see, like, I know she's left early, but like she could make a pitch for the Bachelorette, because I think that maybe that's what they're doing. Like, oh my God, he let her go so early. Depending on how she does her publicity stuff after the show. Because I think that she has kind of what it would take. He's ethnic enough at being like Puerto Rican, so she has a little bit of a different culture than a typical Bachelorette. So if they wanted to stay in the ballpark of diversity, she would be someone that would be palatable, I would say, to all audiences. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would see her over Katie as the Bachelorette, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know enough about her for me to say either way, but I definitely think she'd be like the type of person that would be like very coveted in Paradise. And I think that would be a good space for her to at least develop a bit more, for us to get to know her a bit more. I did love, not related to Mari, but I'm obsessed with Matt's non-reaction to Victoria. Um, I feel like that is like the number one way to just get under the skin of someone who's looking for a reaction, is to give them nothing. And I know it does take a lot to give somebody nothing, especially when they're outwardly being rude, but I loved that he just like had a dead-eyed stare and gave her no offers to work with there. That was perfect. It was just like
It was good because she just was like, just kind of throwing off. Natalie's, yeah, exactly. Serena C over Mari. It was just like, what? I mean, I like Serena C a bit just because she's kind of funny sometimes in some of her confessionals and things that she says. I do not see them being together at all. I am always curious as to what she's going to wear. But yeah, Mari, though, I thought that had a way. I thought she was going to be like the next person with a one-on-one date. I really.
Yeah.
Hi, Aisha. So Aisha says, because he's from a more conservative background, Matt seems like the person who prefers subtlety and classy over sexy, hence why he let Mari go. That's a good point. Mari is definitely exudes sex appeal to me. And so maybe he wants somebody a little bit more reserved in what they exude. I can see that.
It's possible.
Tamika sneaking in some tea here. So, did you hear about the new Love Island tea? The guys had internet access on their phones. I did. So this is what is being rumored now. I think it was Kirsten said it on a story or something, that if you press the home screen or something like that, they were able to get internet access. And so potentially, I don't know both, but like Caleb and Johnny, I'll just guess, were able to get access to Twitter. And so people are speculating that Caleb knew to go head into Justine because she was getting so much love from the audience, and that she might have been more so targeted than we were led to believe. So not good at all, but I just need to just stand in a little bit of glory here because I was like, he's not feeling her. And people were just coming for me. And I'm like, I don't feel it. What do you need?
That's unfortunate that's what happened. But I think at this point with Love Island as well, maybe not in the US Love Island, this one felt much more like the UK ones did, the second season. The first season was like super strange compared to the UK ones, but I think you gotta know like the name of the game when you go in there. So I think that maybe just reassured a path for him to go deeper down into. But like, I think everyone in there, as much as it's all for love and yes, like they know how to create their story to get to the end. And it's very much about the story creation and how that plays out over time that gets your audience to even vote for you to win. So I think it was calculated probably either way, but that if that pushed him to like really go hard in that direction, that sucks.
That's what it's feeling like to me, and that actually makes sense to me because I was always like, he's not really that into her, but he's saying all the right things, and people are like, oh, they're just a slow burner, like, you know, whatever. But I can see him saying the right things for the fact that he knows that America wants that to happen. So yeah, it is unfortunate that she became, the recipient of him clout chasing, but he did go on the show. So she put herself in the position for where she had to be vulnerable and potentially be taken advantage of, not for her not being a great person, but for somebody that wanted something different than what you think that they wanted. So unfortunate that she was on the backlash of that. So Dina says Serena has got to go. She's one of the mean girls in the house. She is mean. She is. She's not great. Her and MJ are probably gone next week, I would say. And I'm thinking Katie's might be out soon because it didn't seem like she got a good edit for the next episode coming. So I wouldn't be surprised if Katie goes. How the mighty has fallen,
We I like Katie in terms of what I've seen of her. I'm like, yeah, great. She's, shown some maturity in handling quite a few situations that have come up. So like I'm here for it, but let's not pretend that her connection with Matt is anything special. Come on.
No, not at all. So after all the girls leave, 3 toasts need to be made. So Brittany makes a toast, and then Rachel makes a toast, and then Matt makes a toast. I was like, did everybody make a toast and they only chose 3?
I like this Toastmaster session. I like, what the hell is happening here? Everyone's trying to get on the toasts this year.
Really, I guess they wanted just him to know that like they're there for their heart and that like they respect everything that he's done and like.
Oh yes, of course.
To love.
To love, yeah.
So like,
oh Lord.
Fashion Nova.
Yes. To my Reformation dress. Thank you.
So I believe this is the next day now. Chris addresses the women at the chalet in their little, I don't know, the salon. And it's talking about how Matt doesn't have time for petty bullshit. Did he actually say petty bullshit? I wrote it down. He must have. But did he say petty bullshit?
I don't know. Maybe. I can't remember.
I think he might have. Unless it was one of the girls. I just didn't write down who it was. But somebody said petty bullshit.
Chris is giving no fucks this season.
Say again? I
said Chris is giving no Fs this season.
Nope.
So
I think he likes playing around this. Like,
I think so too.
Like, I'm not gonna be a part of this. I was gonna have fun. Past the halfway point, and they get the first date card. And I didn't read. I don't remember what it said on the date card. I don't know if I think my computer froze or something when I was watching it. I didn't see the date card, but it's for Rachel. And so it says, "Hey, ladies, I'm looking for Miss Rachel." And wait, what happened there?
Yeah, that butler came in.
Oh. All right, I'm like, who's Ty Hunter? I'm like, oh, that's the butler?
That's the no, Ty Hunter is the stylist that's at the store.
He's a good friend. He's a good friend.
A great friend of Matt's, apparently. Right. Yeah.
Rachel has this date, and we know there's a little bit of controversy with Rachel and her past, whatever. Seemingly they have a little bit of chemistry, but I wasn't expecting her to get a one-on-one date yet. I don't know who I was thinking of, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be, I didn't think it was going to be her. And basically she has the friggin' date of the century where she gets to dress up in amazing designer duds and takes him home and gets him to put on some Louboutins. Like, how the F did she get this date? And and there's something I wanted to ask if you noticed, but what did you think of the date? So like, in general.
This would like easily be the #1 date I would want, like 100%. Like to be able to try on designer dresses, although I will say some of these dresses were like, ooh. But it's okay. Sorry, Ty. Not sure about your styling, but it's fine. To try on like designer clothes and to be able to take home stuff like that and just kind of have fun in that way, that would be awesome. And it also feels like enough of it's like a fantasy thing because you're trying on things that are like, you normally wouldn't be able to afford, and it's like very princessy, but it's also like the idea of shopping with a significant other is kind of like an everyday task that's can be fun or can be tedious depending on the person. So I think it does still feel like a date that could be plausible, obviously in a fantastical context where you get to wear beautiful gowns.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you because Matt doesn't have that much money. Like he might be, he's not going to be taking her on some like $10,000 shopping spree. But yeah, I do agree that it's possible. Like, hey, honey, like we have an event to go tonight. Like, pick up something at the designer store, and it's like $500. Like, I can see that being something that's likely. And having the champagne when you're shopping, like that is it's a likely date. You go to Nordstrom's, that'll happen. But did you notice? I don't think she's into him. Okay, the kisses were fine, but I found that she kind of a lot of times like didn't like him being in her like space or like kind of move and then like kind of went into it. I don't know if it's because it was just awkward and he's like wanting to hold her hands and like, you know, spin her around when she's wearing these outfits and he's just not comfortable with that. But there was at least 2 times that I can recall where she's just like, like playing it off that she wasn't, it seemed like she was almost repulsed. Or definitely wasn't comfortable with him being close to her the whole time. Did you notice any of this?
I think, okay, I've always, you know how I feel about Rachel, where I'm just like, I don't really believe this. I think she did a really good job of convincing us that she really liked him. Like every time she looked at him, her eyes were like shining, like gleaming, like heart eyes, just like, I really like him. I really like him. I really like him. But what I felt was kind of played up personally. And I'm sure people will disagree because I've heard people be like, this date was so good and their connection was amazing. And I do think Matt is into her in a big way. But it's this idea where it's like, oh my God, this date is like so, I'm so nervous. And like, this is so unlike what I would ever do. And like, oh, me in this gown. I would never do this before. It's just like very like, I don't think so. Even when she came back and like the girls saw her and everything, it was just very like, this is so not me. And it's like, yeah, I get it, but it just doesn't feel real to me. It feels like she's in a rom-com. She's starring in her own rom-com and like, she's playing it that way. I think she very much knows what she needs to do to make it far in this show.
Yes. And she's gorgeous. She knows how to get
she's beautiful.
Like her. And she can see that Matt is showing an interest and she's going at it. But if you could go back and watch that date, you'll see like a few times. Like, yeah. And you're saying playing it off as shy or like, I'm so not used to this. I'm putting it off as she is not interested in him at all. And it'll come out eventually.
She's in it for the long haul in whatever way that is.
So Bean, okay. Bean says, Nick Viall said that he did not see Matt as a sexual person. What do you two think about that? Well, I'm not allowed to say what I think because people come for me, but I still I do not think of him as a sexual person either, personally. I was calling it swag or having some sort of like sexual drive. I don't see that for me. So he wouldn't, there's nothing about how he presents himself that would be something that would turn me on. I can't see him turning me on. So in that regard, I don't see him as a sexual person. And I just, from the way he kisses, it seems as though he doesn't get that sexual energy like that happens in kissing. It's kind of like just actions as opposed to like feeling something kind of electric and sexual. So what do you think?
I don't think that he's inherently a sexual person in terms of the vibe that he gives off. This is like maybe super projecting, but like if we take the kissing as an example, I just think Matt probably hasn't gotten a lot of feedback from partners before, and that seems very clear to me. It's like when you're intimate with somebody and you try and understand like what they like or don't like, there is still a conversation there about like ways that you can turn someone on or like ways that like they experience their intimacy in ways that clicks. I feel like he's probably just like slept with or like had relationships with people who may be intimidated by his looks or, you know, vice versa, and has just never really received any type of like inclination on how to improve. And that's the vibe that I'm getting, is like a lack of confidence in that, maybe. Or as for whether he's like inherently sexual or not, like not everybody is, and that's fine. But I just think he is not confident in his sexuality.
Well, and I don't think, I mean, whatever he is, it's fine. But it's kind of like Colton for me. I didn't feel that he exuded any sexual energy at all.
Yeah.
And for me, I felt as though it was because he was not 100% sure of his own sexuality. So, he talks about in his book, I believe, after the fact that, he didn't have a lot of relationships because of the fact that he wasn't sure if he was interested in men or women or both. He wasn't really sure. And so that kind of made him avoid getting into relationships with people because he didn't want to confront who he really was as a sexual being. So I think that there might be some of that in Matt, kind of you spoke to, with being that he might have had a lot of experience that allows him to know, like, this is how I'm going to get it, or whatever,
or what a partner requires of him in a more sexual way. Like, again, this is like a really random thing to be projecting on the Bachelor, who I see, for 2 hours a week. And I don't mean to say, I want to be clear, like, I'm not saying like his sexuality or like trying to imply any type of sexual preference. I just mean literally how he embodies his sexuality. Because it is something that does develop and that people become more confident in. And for some people, it's actually something that is not a facet of their personality. So yeah, I think it's just the confidence around that. Because he is attractive, and I'm sure people have told him that he's attractive. So objectively, like, he understands that, but that doesn't bring like the passion or that desire or any of the other things that are a little bit more internal and not just based on how you look.
So one thing though, he's a Sagittarius. Sagittarius men, from my experience, I've known very few, but this is kind of how I picture them, is they're usually very sexually forward or likes having kind of interesting sexual experiences. And so when I see just Matt just as a person on the screen, he doesn't exude what I think of to be the nature and the vibe of a young, handsome, Sagittarius, fiery energy man. He doesn't have that fiery energy. So
I wouldn't have thought he was a Sag at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he seems a little more like a Cancer, or like, Cancer is actually what I'm thinking of him.
Wonder what his like rising sign is.
I'll look it up for you. Matt, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but if you can tell me your birth time and what.
Yeah, if you could tell us your location and time of birth approximately, and we'll just get right to that.
We'll just do your entire birth chart, and we'll tell you exactly who you're going to end up with.
Exactly.
Where did this come from, Natalie? Jed wants attention. What happened? Did something happen in the world?
I mean,
Jed?
I'm like expecting Jed to walk out into your studio with a guitar as we speak.
Well, I mean, we can talk about it now, but there was some tea going on with, what's his name? What's the guy with Hannah G?
Dylan.
Dylan. He kind of gotten a little bit of a Twitter rant talking about how, the producers screwed over Jed, that Jed didn't really have a girlfriend, that they kind of set him up, and he kind of went on a little bit of a rant on Twitter. And so maybe that's what's happening. Did you see that?
I think I saw some of those screenshots from that. I mean, I take everything that Dylan, a clear clout chaser, takes with a grain of salt. But I did think one thing that he said, I kind of understood, where he was like, this show makes like a point of showcasing like how bad bullying is, or like how bad people can be, when like the essence of like the show is them bullying the people that are on it, or like manipulating them and putting them in these situations to begin with. And I was like, yeah, that's true. That's pretty rich coming from them to be, dishing out morality when their job is morally ambiguous. But
there's people that was created out of the show. So why are you going to be knocking, like biting the hand that feeds you? Like, I get that the producers of the show do some shady things. I get that, but I just don't know if it's a place to be calling them out and calling them out right now. Like,
why now? Why is he now, like, maybe his contract allows him to discuss it now?
Oh, like, he's not to speak now. So Tamika says, Kit said that Victoria was really super funny and a natural comedian on her combo with Becca and Rachel. I haven't seen that yet. Have you watched that?
No, I haven't listened to their podcast specifically because Kit was the guest, and I was like, oh, I don't really care. But I would love for someone who I actually think is funny to tell me that Victoria is funny. Because so far, the people that have told me that Victoria is funny is Matt, who I don't think understands what's funny. and Kit, who also doesn't strike me as like humor queen. So I'm really not trusting these opinions, but I'm sure, okay, for someone like Victoria to come across the way that she does on TV and to have the gems that she does have, which there were a few moments of lull that she provided, must mean that she kind of is inherently that way. But do I think she's funny? I mean, in a laughing at her way, not in a laughing with her way, right?
She's more shocking that somebody would have the gall to say some of the things that she says.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's funny. I don't think it's intelligent. Like I'm a sucker for somebody funny. Like
me too. Yeah.
Love laughing. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. And I chuckled a few times about Victoria, but it's kind of only because I cannot believe that she has the gall. Other than that, though, I don't find her smart, and so I don't think that she's humorous.
It's very shock value for sure. It's like, what's the wildest thing I can say that will create the most discomfort for everyone? I'm going to say that.
Exactly.
That's not necessarily funny.
Like taking someone's crown, that's not funny at all. It's rude. Tamika's sad that Lauren is gone. We're sad too, honestly. But do you think that Lauren's going to be asked to go to Paradise?
I mean, I would like to see her there. I don't know that they would though, because it didn't seem. I don't know. Paradise is interesting because I think our default thought of who's going to be on it is like, who are the dramatic people on every season, but they always kind of throw in some people that are like super random or maybe don't scream like Bachelor in Paradise, like someone like Angela as an example. This person's out night one. We don't really know that much about her, like that she was even cast, but then she ends up kind of like working on that show. So if they did cast Lauren on it, I think it wouldn't be because she's like paradisey, but because she might actually like end up finding a connection there. So I would like to see her there. I don't know that they will though.
Yeah, she didn't have enough airtime, I feel, for the producers, for it to seem like the producers really are that into her. They just had like one moment on like a group date once, and I think they kissed. I think.
Well, she had that. I believe Lauren was the one that had that conversation with him about how religion was also like very important to her, which I think is why we all thought that she was kind of like doing well. So again, it's kind of like a Mari thing where I would have expected some other people to be out before her, but
very sad, Bean. Do you know what? I'm gonna listen to Nick. I kind of like Nick, and then I kind of really don't like Nick because there's something in the tone of his voice that he seems like a know-it-all, and it pisses me off. And so I just like sometimes I can't listen to him because I'm like, you're not that smart. You're definitely not that funny. You're not that good in bed. You're giving all this advice to people. I get it. It's a talk show, and like you can do whatever you want. It's yours, and people are calling in for your advice. But sometimes I just don't agree with his advice, and it comes from, to me, he's still a kind of a fuckboy, and so I just like I don't buy everything that Nick says, and so sometimes I can't listen to his voice. But I will go and check out his podcast and like what he has to say about Matt. Did you do any listening to his stuff? Do you like him?
I'm like you. I'm very like hit or miss with him. I actually did enjoy him as the Bachelor because I felt like he was actually good as the lead, and I liked the women that he like had more in-depth relationships. I actually liked his women a lot in general. I like that batch crew, but he lost me a few times along the way because he just, like you said, seems to think he's the authority on a lot of things or speaks with like such conviction about stuff that I'm like, what are you talking about? No offense, Nick, but I know on his podcast he also like gives out advice to people, and I remember listening to one episode and just thinking some advice that he had given was like so bad and like not good, and that's where I started to really step away from listening to him because I was like, oh dear, like people are turning to Nick Viall for like self-help, and I don't think he's the right person to be directing them at all.
I agree. Like sometimes he does say some things that I agree with. But sometimes I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I just can't listen to him sometimes. I can hear there's a tone in his voice that irks me. But I'll give it a go. I'll see what he has to say about Matt James. But I can tell, like, I used to watch his stuff more and more and more before, and so something happened. I must have, maybe it was the same podcast that you listened to when he was giving bad advice. Like,
he lost me.
Just stop. Katie and Riley, is that for Paradise?
Is that a pairing? Is that like a pairing like that you're looking forward to?
See them together?
I mean, I want to see more of both of them. So,
do you see Katie and Riley together?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Bean agrees that Matt is more into Rachel than vice versa. Rachel is like, I needed
Matt loves her.
Like her, like, yeah. Rachel does not. Sorry, it's
she was acting for her life, though. You have to admit, she was acting for her life. Like, it was literally like she was an anime character. Like, her eyes were like shining. Like, it was like somebody had a light like shining into them. They were like gleaming, staring at him. I was like, she is giving us acting beats.
How do you feel about the moment though when he puts like the Louboutin shoe? He puts it on for her.
I mean,
I would have just wondering, like, fuck, I didn't get a pedicure.
I know. I would have been like, oh shit, we're doing this right now. Damn it! Like, how do my feet look? I also like don't really want anybody handling my feet. But I will take the shoes. I will take the shoes.
I mean, they were the nicest Louboutins I've ever seen in my life, but I would be happy to have them. I was dying though when she brought all the empty bags to the girls,
which are clearly empty. Clearly empty. I made a note of that. I was like, these bags are not from this store. Like, I was so pissed about it.
From, did you see last week's Drag Race?
Yeah. Lala Ree's outfit. Exactly. Rachel's bags, and I was just like, oh, this is like the coffee cup trope that we were talking about in the past. It's like, it's empty. These are empty. Okay.
So empty.
She just traipses in with all these bags, like, oh, hey, girls. And there's like no weight to them, no heft. She's just like plops them down. She's like drowning in bags. It's very, very much props department. Like,
I know. I was like, why haven't they learned? Like, I mean, I would have liked that moment. It would have worked better for me if she struggled a bit.
I know.
Like, it would be good. But anyways, they got the shot. They got the shot. And this is for her to come back to go and change for the night portion of the date. So just in the middle of that, though, there was just the date cart comes, and basically everybody else except for Kit is going to be on the group date. So Kit is going to be getting the second one-on-one of the episode. So the blue dress that she was wearing for the date, the night portion of the date, was quite nice. Like, I really liked it. It didn't really suit her per se, but she looked good in it. But that's like one of my favorite colors, is that like shiny royal blue. I really like it. Cheers to getting to know you better and spoiling you. I had a little bit of a problem with this. Now, I know that we don't always want to talk about race and this and that, but how come the two white girls get like these like kind of more glamorous days? Like, I know Kit's was at the house, but like it was a little bit glamorous. And Rachel goes on the shopping spree, and then cut to the next scene with the group date, and they're shoveling horse shit, like literally. And then, I liked the date that he had with Michelle before, but it was definitely not glamorous and spending thousands of dollars and like the two big portions and like, a lot of effort went into it. So I kind of felt like, I don't know, it just seemed as though the Black woman that's had one-on-one dates didn't get to have the extravagant date, which I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, let's see that happen and have this like Cinderella date happen with like any contestant of color, particularly a Black woman, just to like see that go down. It's not like that date is suited to anyone's personality. Like, if anything, I would rather see Chelsea trying on those dresses because she's a freaking model and like would rock that, like that's such a good date for someone like her. So like, yeah, totally. Like, what you're calling out is definitely beneath the surface and something that is happening. like, let's be real. Let's be real about it.
See Brie in that date, because like I think she really would. You would feeling special, and that, and you know, Michelle as well would have felt really special. I feel, and it would have been more genuine. I know that Rachel was saying that she like never had this happen before, and she doesn't have expensive things. I get it, but there's still something there that I was kind of picking up that I wish that the people of color got to experience that date, not her.
Yeah.
That was what I was feeling about it. So in their conversation, they're talking about how she's never been in love. And, you know, she's always felt that she was undeserving and she has a hard time opening up. And so I feel as though her saying these things is her out for not being into him. Because then she can be like, I just couldn't get there. I just can't open up. You know, that's what's wrong with me. And then maybe she'll be the Bachelorette. You know what I mean?
She's definitely making the play for like future longevity and not necessarily to win Matt's affection. Like, I think she wants to make it far and maybe be considered to be Bachelorette, but she doesn't actually want to win Matt at the end of it. And I think that's the tea. Like, that's what's really happening with her. It's kind of like the Sarah of it all. Like, if we take into account everything with Sarah that happened, and she had someone that she was seeing or not seeing coming on the show, the second that Matt was like, no, I need you to stay because I like you, is the second that she was like, no, that's not end game for me. Like, I was hoping to ride this out a bit longer. And I feel like that's the case with Rachel. She's got to plant those seeds now, to your point, so that later down the line, she can be like, no, I just can't get there, you know?
Even though she says, I'm already completely falling in love with you. And then he agrees with her.
Oh, he loves her. Like, I actually like, he really likes her. I think that's clear. He really does.
Can I share something with you? You're not crazy, because I feel the same way. And then she says, maybe we both are just crazy.
Yeah.
Are we crazy? Are we missing something here? Because that wasn't the moment. I was not expecting that.
I was like, now? Like, oh, okay.
Not at all. But Tamika does think that Rachel is a clear front runner based on this date and Bachelor history, 100%. Even Rachel Lindsay, she gave like the watch date to Brian, and it seems as though this is only the other example I can think off the top of my head, but what I'm deciding is going to be Bachelor fact is that anybody that gets these expensive dates is a front runner, and they're going to go to the end because they're going to actually have something tangible that they got from a date that's expensive. So, you know.
Yeah, this date usually goes to someone who does well. It
says you were in next. I love it. I love it too. Good.
Some people are born to do certain things in this world, so.
Also, remember, Paradise will be extremely competitive since they have so many seasons to pull from, including Listen to Your Heart. Listen to Your Heart. Do you think like Brie and Chris are going to show up there? Like, I don't know, with their guitars? Like, I don't know.
But I want, what's her name? She's blonde and like super like belter, like riffy, like kind of like crazy like hairstyles and dresses. Oh God, what was her name? She has an amazing voice, but I'm obsessed with her.
Not Julia.
Not Julia. What was her name? It'll come to me, but I love her.
And she dated the cute guy.
The kind of like John Mayer guitar guy, Ryan.
I don't know if there's Ryan. I don't know if they're still together, but they did date outside of the show at least for a little bit.
Natasha, I think. Is that her name?
Right. I saw it. I think it's Natasha.
Anyways, I would love to see someone like her on Paradise, because I thought that she was like one of the personalities that was good on that show. Mm-hmm. Or even Rudy. Like, I don't know what Rudy's up to these days, but I liked her a lot too.
We checked there. The guys.
But we have also like the guys from Tasha and Claire's season, these girls, and then will there
Like Peter's season too, I guess.
Oh my god, yeah, Peter's girls too. Oh, whew. We've got a wide pool to pull from here.
We need to do when we finish with The Bachelor, we need to do a draft of who we think is going to
be on
on Paradise. That's fun.
Absolutely.
All like the potentials and be like, yes, no, and draft our ideal season of Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, it makes me wonder if they'll kind of do something to account for the fact that there's so many people that they could bring in, like maybe a slight change to format or the amount of people they bring in or the way that they do it, because there's so many people that could really work for the show. So that's exciting. It's like
longer. It's already pretty short, so they're only there for
short. Exactly. Like, or maybe like more people or bring more people in at once or something like that. I don't really know.
Dean says, "Oh, my read on Nick is correct. I watched it for the guests he has on since he's good friends with Bachelor producers." Yeah, exactly. Like, if I don't like the guest, I'm not going to listen to Nick usually. Because like I didn't even listen to him when he had Ben on. I was like, there's no part of me that wants to hear Nick and Ben talk about anything.
Which Ben?
Ben from Tasha.
I love how there's a huge contingent of people that are just like trolled by Ben's existence right now that is overtaking Bachelor Nation, and I'm obsessed with it. It's so funny. I think it was Becca M. Becca Martinez also she was talking to somebody. I was listening to her podcast and she was just trashing Ben. She hates him. She hates him so much.
I mean, I'm usually with Becca what she thinks, like what she thinks. Well, I listen to her and Jess often, Chatty Broads. Shout out if you guys don't listen to them. They're pretty good sometimes. I do find though that she allowed Jess to persuade her into liking Zach. Becca, I thought she was bang on with he's got a weird dad vibes. Like she just wasn't feeling him, and then all of a sudden, she's just obsessed with him, like Jess is. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I think that you had the right read before. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think the creepy dad thing that's a thing. Like, don't push that aside because Jess thinks he's a good guy and that she chose him. Like, I think that she was on the money there, but I think that. We'll find out later. Like, I mean, I don't think that I think they're going to be in an okay relationship. They'll probably last a bit longer than all the other relationships this year.
Yeah.
But the creepy dad thing is a thing. And so,
but also, what a combination of Nick Viall and Ben on a podcast. Like, whoa. Oh, my God.
Do that?
And I'm not even anti-Ben, as you know. I'm kind of on the fence on the Ben journey of how I feel, but I don't want to listen to those two talk at all. No.
So yeah, Bean only watches Bachelor related episodes on YouTube. Yeah, I know. It's just I can't listen to him sometimes. MJ for Paradise, really, Natalie?
I mean, that would probably gotta stir it up. Stir it up.
No makeup and sea hair, like ocean hair.
Yeah.
So I can see her being on there. Tafia, yep, I agree. On Nick, thankfully, his Bachelor Recap podcast and his advice pod is 2 separate shows a week. Fair. I don't have to watch it, but I just don't even want to. Like, I watch Chatty Broads regularly. I watch Wit and Rye. Do you like Wit and Rye?
I don't know that.
They're good too. They're pretty funny. They're 2 sisters. I believe Whitney used to be a producer in film and television. I'm not sure if it was reality or regular. But they have short episodes, usually about a half an hour, and they're pretty funny. And so I watch them as well. And then I watch Jolene and a couple other people, but
there's so many, and then there's so many that are by actual Bachelor Nation people that I'm just it's so oversaturated that I started having to kind of pick and choose when I would watch. And it usually has to do with the guest being somebody that I want to hear from. So I'll dabble into Chatty Broad sometimes. I'll listen to Bachelor Happy Hour sometimes. I'll listen to whatever. Even Nick, for a while, he was interviewing the girls from his season. And I was interested in that, but then he makes it all about himself as usual. So I had to like kind of be selective. But I will say I like from past contestants, she doesn't do recaps and she's not always up to speed with guests that she has that are like relevant to the season. But I really like Olivia's interview style in her podcast when she has a good guest on there. So I'll listen to her sometimes too.
Link that one to me because she's not in my rotation at all. So BB had a flashback of Claire and Dale during that Matt Rachel conversation, LOL. We know how that went. We know how that went. People are going to come for me, and then they're going to see that I'm right. I just know it. So she's putting up more of a wall than him. She's not feeling it. She seems fake. Exactly. And we don't feel these things for no reason. It's because they're true. I love the Paradise Draft idea. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun show. Because everybody will have their so Tabine feels like Claire and Dale all over again, just false and phony. I think it's all sexual tension, no substance. I don't even think she's attracted to him sexually, though. To be fair, original date with Brian was exactly what I was thinking of. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to give the money date to somebody, to Victoria.
No.
Like, you give it to the one that you want to be like, I gave you the shoes. Every time you see the shoes, you know that I'm into you, you know? Like, that kind of thing. So what happened to us in this date? Yeah, well, I'm falling in love with you too. But like bizarre. They go and they have a horse and carriage ride. I was like, it's a pretty extravagant date. I was pretty shocked. And then it's the next day and they have the group date and you have them walking up to Farmer Tom, all the girls. They're kind of, Serena C is comparing her date to Rachel's bougie date, which I would be pretty upset. Like that, wait, Serena C, what was her date? She was the horseback riding.
Oh, Serena P?
Oh, no, wait, sorry, Serena C is comparing their group date to the bougie date. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it looked like a miserable day. It looked like rainy, drizzly. It didn't look particularly warm. They were shoveling manure and, doing these tasks around the farm. I have to say, my favorite thing about this, though, this is that classic Bachelor trope that we all love, is when Farmer Ty really had to lay out to us how farming is like falling in love. Would they have to get these sound bites in? And he said, much like a relationship, a farm takes time and hard work. So thank you for connecting that, because I could not have made that connection myself.
Neither. Thank you, Farmer Tom. I didn't even write that down because it was just like, it resonated in my heart there. Thank you, Tanya, for bringing
it was really like, some people pray. I just really took a lot from that moment from Farmer Ty. But they do this every time. If it's like a bungee jumping date or like something where they're like doing something that's daring, they're like, taking a plunge is like falling in love. Like, you just got to jump in and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, we don't need the metaphor.
Like a Hallmark writer, like on the show, hired for staff. So I don't know what ended up happening, but there was like an egg toss and Matt was tossing an egg of some sort to MJ and it breaks and it almost turned into like a little egg fight. Matt runs away and runs into Piper doing a confessional. They have a quick makeout, like some of the girls could kind of see, and then he comes back. What happened there? It was very shocking.
Did you feel like that he was like kind of checked out a bit of this date? Like, he just was kind of like very like all over the place. And I clocked it when he came back from making out with Piper. He did that kind of guy thing where he like put his hood up and like did this and like turned around and was like kind of like jumping. And I was like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? You left someone hanging back there. She's waiting for you to like put this egg on you. And MJ was doing the most on this date, by the way. Like, oh, I would have been so annoyed if I was there, because it was very clear that she was just trying to do everything for attention. So I understand why the girls were absolutely irritated with her. But like, she's waiting for you. Like, she can see you. She like is within eyesight, and you're making out here and just like extending it for as long as possible. Like, whoa, Matt, what's going on, bud?
I thought it was breaking the fourth wall type thing, where like he fell into her frame, and we saw that perspective, like, because you know what it usually looks all framed up for these confessionals. So I did like seeing that kind of takes me out of what I'm used to. So I like seeing the behind the scenes there, but it was just. Was that planned and contrived by the producers as well? That okay, so when you make sure that you find a way to run away from the girls, and then you go and you run into the frame and you like, was that just natural, or was it produced?
The entire thing seemed unnatural. I'm like, what is the context of this even happening? Why are the girls standing over here in a group watching you throw an egg at MJ that she's gonna catch? Like, why? What does this have to do with anything? I was so like confused about like what was happening, like why there was such a lack of structure to this day. Like it seemed very unclear like what was going on here.
Maybe on the date card it says like, in order to catch something fragile in your hands, it's like carrying someone's heart. And
when I threw that egg at MJ and it shattered in her hands, I realized that maybe she doesn't have the type of delicate touch that I require when it comes to our relationship. Okay,
it was the detector of
mm-hmm.
MJ's potentiality of a love relationship with him. So Bean says that so random with Piper, even a little bit aggressive. It was weird. I mean, I think she's really pretty, and I liked the breaking the fourth wall, as I said, but like
their relationship is weird. It's like based on that only, apparently. So yeah, she was living because she was spending all the time leading up to it being like, I'm so upset I don't have the one-on-one. I really wanted it. For him to come in and do that makeout with her, she probably must have been like, yes, I'm nailing it.
I'm in. Okay, I'll play the date rose. Yes. Probably, yeah. Actually. Well, I think someone told us that she does, but we don't get to see it. So yeah, she definitely was having a good time with that. But I still don't, he's still not like the type of guy that would do that. So it's also kind of weird. Like, there's a certain type of guy that's like, hey, let's go have sex in a bathroom. He's not that guy, So to see him like run up and like do like sneak a kiss, he's also not that guy either. Like, he's not the guy that you're having that relationship with, that you work at a restaurant, stay together, and like, ooh, let's make out behind the stairwell when we're between shifts, whatever, like he's not that guy.
But he made a point of doing that, so I guess he wanted her to know that he was into her and that he's there for their journey at this point. So it's a good thing if that happens to you, I guess.
Rile MJ up, maybe he knew that MJ would see it, and like he wants to like get that train going. Bean says, Tanya, I blame you for me falling off my chair laughing.
Happy to provide.
Thank you, Tanya.
Anytime.
So this is where I started getting worried. Oh, wait, sorry. I need to pause. Did you notice that he said that it was hilarious when that he was acting as if it was hilarious when MJ didn't catch the egg, like when it broke, and he started laughing hysterically? Like,
again, that sense of humor, once again, really coming to light. It's tough. It's tough for me, Matt. My favorite thing that happened before this, I forgot to mention, that I thought was so funny and was actually low-key shade, is at the beginning of the date, towards the beginning of the date, it cuts to Chelsea like talking about the date, and she says, I really like his outfit today, actually, implying to me that like he normally doesn't like his outfit. And that today she liked his outfit. I just thought that was so funny. I like walked in and I was like, okay, yeah.
I heard that too. I actually I was like, oh, she just like that came out wrong. I totally like brushed it off, but you're totally right. Gino says that Piper is definitely one of their favorites. I like Piper. I don't think that she's gonna get the guy in the end, but she's gonna do okay. Okay, so this is where I was first getting the inkling that Katie does insert herself into drama, because she's talking to Michelle, and Michelle's kind of crying over, the fact that like she had this one-on-one date, and then now she's seeing that he does have connections with other people, and so she thought she was more special, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And Katie's there listening, and it seemed like Katie's always the person there listening to all these people. That means that she's gonna have a lot of information that she could use however she wants. And so I feel like that was the beginning of Katie's kind of downward arc. I don't know if she'll be taking maybe the villain role, because she seems to be fighting with people next episode. But this is where I was like, I don't know if Katie's this hero that they made of her in the last couple episodes.
If you had given me that clip and you were like, here's a clip from The Bachelor, like take from it what you will, and I had no context, I would have thought that Katie was a producer talking to Michelle.
I can see that too.
Maybe it was the jacket, but it was the body language, the location, the shot from far away, and then coming in, the kind of like secretive vibe. I would have been like, oh, it's a producer like talking to her.
Thought it was a producer, and then I realized it was Katie. So yeah. I 100% agree with you there. Yeah, I feel like she's producing her own storyline a little bit, like she wants to get all the dirt in the tea. Bean loves you.
It's really working though, because people are very into Katie. So again, I like her. I'm still like kind of confused by the sudden fervor towards this movement of her being the Bachelorette. Like, cool, yes, it's awesome that she is speaking out about these things, and then maybe those are qualities that we want to see in a Bachelorette. But like, let's pump the brakes for like a sec and just let things simmer for a bit. Like, it's week 5 still. Yeah,
so. She's not being around for maybe more than 2 episodes. I don't think. There's zero connection between the two of them. So the night portion of this group date, Serena C. I know some people are saying that she's a mean girl, but she's like, ugh, if I knew that this was this kind of date that it was going to be, I would have dressed better for this occasion. I would have had a better outfit. And I was like, yeah, she probably would have had a better outfit. Like, I do like what she wears. So I'm happy that at least she knows that she wasn't farm enough for her liking, and she wasn't farm enough for my liking.
I think her voice makes everything sound more dry than it is too. Because she has that tone where she's like, I know Matt said that. Like, it's just like very like, I don't know how to do her voice. But as someone who also sounds quite dry and sarcastic when I speak, it does make everything seem kind of shadier that you're saying. And I kind of have to clarify sometimes when I'm actually being sarcastic. So I have some empathy for that, if that's what your vibe is. It's like people who have like a resting bitch face. It's like, well, sorry.
I have a resting bitch face. So yes, I know. I'm always like, I have to smile. Like, I have to smile to make people think that I'm not mad at them, So they do a little cheers, and Matt grabs Chelsea first. And so Tamika loves Chelsea, but I don't think Matt loves Chelsea. So we'll see what happens after this next rose ceremony. I said he likes her butt, and then ... Like, that's kind of, I just don't see it. And she said that she's falling for him. Like, WTF?
Yeah. I mean,
not a thing.
Now is the time. I guess by week 5, you got to start saying that. So
falling.
Mm-hmm. I'm falling. I could see myself falling for you, or I'm falling in love with you. The next step is I'm in love with you, which is also a reach. But okay.
Riley was flirting with Katie on, I'm assuming that's Twitter. I'm gonna look this up. Yes. Oh my God. I think I want to start a segment, like, join if you want, but like maybe on a Friday and be like, tweets from people in reality TV. Just like go and like screen everybody's Twitter and see what they've been said for the last week. So that's something that I've been thinking of doing, a segment as Twitter thoughts.
He's trying to shoot his shot. Get those Paradise storylines brewing. Now's the time to start putting in the work.
Like, there's no stagecoach, so
no stagecoach this year.
So Chelsea definitely has a good heart. Does she like Matt though? No.
I don't think their lives make sense together. Like, I think that, yeah, they're both from New York, but I just think, like, I don't see I don't see them like being together for some reason. Like they undoubtedly look like visually great together, but I just think it, I don't know. I don't see it.
Agreed. Sam says at this point, Abigail would be a good bachelor, especially for the franchise standards. She would be. I think Abigail would be good. Who's the other person that I said I wanted? Oh, I think Mari. I wouldn't be surprised if they did Mari and get someone a little bit more like spicy, you know? But I know that they love wholesome, so Abigail gives off the wholesome vibe. So Tamika says, I think it's the editing. I don't get it. So many people above her would be better bachelorettes. Absolutely. Agreed.
It's editing and recency bias. Like people tend to remember the things that have happened closer to present day. So I think Katie's very top of mind right now. People are very like galvanized by what she's doing and they're really like here for it. So I think it's like very immediate, but like let's give it time because we still have a lot of avenues to explore. But I guess they might actually have to cast that sooner than later though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why people are talking about it like with such urgency right now. So she might be like just in the right moment where they decide to like take advantage of her popularity right now. Like I don't think it's impossible. But
I mean, 5 more is going to be where the show ends, and I think that her popularity is going to decline. Oh wait, this is the other Chelsea I think that Tamika was talking about, right? Because Caitlyn apologized to Chelsea. Which Chelsea? I can't remember which Chelsea this is right now. I'm having a brain block.
Caitlyn Bristow?
Chelsea, is Chelsea the one with the blonde? No, that's Olivia.
Like this Chelsea? I don't know what that's in reference to, but I'm curious.
I'm confused. But yes, I think Abigail would have a really unique story to tell. I would be interested in watching that for sure. I think she came off of all the people came to the show for Matt specifically, actually. I think she of all the people, yes. Abigail, yes.
It also seems like they have the story that they could play where it's like if he doesn't choose Abigail and she's put herself out there in this dating world, been vulnerable, blah, blah, blah. It makes a very good backstory beyond her personal experience being deaf, which we know is like a big factor of what they're focusing on. That aside, like Matt allowed me to be vulnerable and to be open and it showed me that I am ready for love. So this journey makes sense for me right now. That whole narrative.
Also, is this the after date or is this the pre-rose ceremony? I don't even know. But Abigail
after date
has like a little one-on-one moment with him and they do discuss something a little bit more serious. And something like I like about her serious topics is it doesn't seem as contrived as some of the other ones. Like, yes, we know Ben like had his very traumatic life experience that he shared with Tayshia, but with her sharing most likely my children are going to be deaf, like sharing something like that's really vulnerable, but without it being I don't feel like she's trying to take something away, like I just like appreciated how she approached what she was sharing with him, and I didn't feel like I was being emotionally manipulated in any sort of way at all. And so I did appreciate that, and I felt for her 100%. And she mentioned that her father wasn't in the picture, and when he learned when she was getting the implant, I believe her and her sister, I don't know why that would be the timing, but he does choose to relate to her here and say that he didn't grow up with a father, and I thought they had a really genuine moment. You agree?
I do agree. I think in terms of what she shared, I can't imagine, being in that position where if serious with somebody that's a future partner of yours, this is something that like they do need to know. And you kind of have to, be able to share this about yourself, but it's a very vulnerable thing to do. And also to add the layer of it being on TV. So while I don't understand what that experience is like personally, like I felt for her for sure. Like I imagine that's a conversation that you have to have with anybody that's potentially a long-term partner of yours, and that's something that you need to give them insight into. So that's really important. But then I did appreciate that Matt was like, yeah, I don't know what that feels like, but what I do know is this, and when I see people overcome these things, like that's inspiring to me. You view it as something that, you know, is hard for you to share, but to me, that's a facet of your personality that makes you who you are that I actually look up to. And I'm like, that's a really great view of having, and that's a really great way to make her feel comfortable without kind of like trying to comment specifically on what she said. But to be like, I'm here for you. This is the way that I can personally relate. This is the way that I can't, but I'm with you and I respect you. And I thought he handled it very well.
Agreed. His next little mini date was with Michelle. And she was able to express what a lot of women, I don't think, do a good job expressing, feeling, needing a reassurance. And so however she said it was in a way that I didn't think was annoying. I thought that she was clear. I didn't think it was like an ultimatum in any sort of way. Like I thought she did it. It was like the poster book, whatever version of how to let this person know that like, she's like, my heart, I don't know if my heart can take it, you know? And like, I understood what that meant. Like, yes, I can understand why your heart can't take it. See him kiss all these other people. Like, I thought it was a good interaction. I thought that he reassured her in a good way. And I'm happy that she feels better about, you know, their date and doesn't think that it was just like it was a one-sided experience. So that was handled well, I thought.
Yeah, just to be like, am I making this up? Like, did I really, like, did you feel the way that I felt? Like, I felt like this happened for me and this felt really real. Like, was that real? And I think that's like very succinct way of putting like this experience of being on the show, because you probably feel so confused about what's actually happening and not happening the entire time, because he's dating all these people, the way that it's produced, the way that it plays out, the fact that it's a game show, like all of these things, like you must feel constantly like, what is actually happening here? So I thought she voiced that well without being like, I'm worried that you don't love me. She was just like, I was just like, is this real? Yes. And he gave her that reassurance. So, and I'm glad that he did, because I want to see her stick around as long as possible. I really enjoy her.
Me too. And I think that she has a maturity in how she's approaching being on this kind of immature show. So, okay. So Bean says that Bristow said something insensitive about Chelsea's hair story. That person was giving you some tea. Gotcha. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, Natalie, you do always come with the tea. So now I understand. I didn't even know about that. I don't know if I follow her anymore. I used to see her a lot, and then I don't as much anymore. So I will.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive into that and see what was said and the fallout from that. But just like, without knowing the context whatsoever, I'm already rolling my eyes at Caitlin. Like, come on, girl.
Yep. Please. Like, you know better. You're Canadian. You should know better. So you think, so Zamika thinks that Chelsea came on for Matt. Okay.
Interesting.
I guess supposed to, but she probably just thought he was good looking and she wanted to go on The Bachelor. I don't know. I don't see people coming on specifically for him. It's not a good thing.
Most response ever. Most applications
but like
ever.
Also, like, they know it's probably going to be the most publicized and like the inaugural Black Bachelor. Like, it's going to be an epic moment. It's season 25, nice round number. Like, I think people want to be on this season, and Matt happens to be The Bachelor, personally. Mika was also saying that that they're quarantining now, or they are for The Bachelorette.
So that means, we're getting a Bachelorette season before Paradise. Right?
We're getting it first, though?
Oh, maybe because if that's the case, then that's even more people that are in the mix.
They have to put in the Bachelor in Paradise first. They can't have a full, like, 2 years of people.
But I think that is maybe the timing, right? Because isn't the Bachelorette usually in the spring, and then Bachelor in Paradise is in the summer? So, oh God, maybe we should just have like...
Maybe they'll do another Winter Games.
Maybe we should have another one, because there's so many people.
Like a spring one. Spring fling Paradise.
Love that.
I could be into that. I mean, I love Bachelor in Paradise. It's always good. I'm never like bored or annoyed. Like,
no, I love it.
It's just like perfect. I like that they make fun of themselves. It's great. So Chad and Victoria should date. I don't think he would be into him because like he's into hot girls, like good, like she's not hot. Like
yeah, he's all like outwardly misogynistic, so he probably would not say nice things about her. That's toxic.
Oh, sorry, Bean. Okay, dang. Okay, I don't see. It's just, I think he's attractive, but I don't see people like been waiting for him. Like they don't know who he is. He's not part of the franchise already. Yes, he's best friends with Tyler Cameron, but I just don't see people doing that specifically for him. I think that he is a nice face on a very important moment in the franchise that people want to be part of the entire experience. But I don't think it was directly for him. I don't mean that to be super offensive though.
I think it's like, I mean, I'm sure there's some people that come on for the actual person, but I feel like most people don't actually come on for whoever the lead is. And they try and sell us that bit all the time, but like, come on, they want to be on The Bachelor. That's not to say that everybody's not there for Matt or whomever, but like, I feel like like you're telling me that people applied specifically for Peter or specifically for Colton or specifically for Ari, like, bleh. I don't think so.
No. I think Chelsea likes black men and Matt is tall based on her words. Yeah, exactly. Like
That's true. She is tall too. So you kind of need, well, you don't need, but I'm sure she would like to date someone who's equally as tall.
Then we'll have to take a bet on this one. I think that they will both be shirtless next episode. They'll play like basketball.
He needs to make up for this week where he is really stalling my tally.
Yeah, like are you getting even? Like yeah, it's gonna be 5-6.
5. Yeah, we need number 6. Like I gotta get things moving here. Feeling concerned.
I respect your opinion highly. I just thought it was funny. No worries. Okay, I just didn't want to sound too mean about him. Like I think he's.
It's not like he was named. It's not like somebody famous. It's not like they were like, it's Matt James. And then people are like, stop everything. I'm calling out of my shift. I need to do this application. Like, no. No.
Like it was like Brad Pitt or somebody, you know, like I can see people just doing the actions as you're suggesting, but nobody knows who he is, you know, at all. Okay, so MJ has an awkward moment with Matt. It paused for a second, so I didn't see fully this moment. Can you replay this MJ Matt moment? How did it start?
Which one? I don't have any notes about that, surprisingly.
Anyways, whatever. So she brings up with the group date that she has an awkward moment with Matt, and then Jasenia and her have some sort of thing. When did this come out? Like, so Jasenia kind of steps up and said that she's
Matt. Oh, right. Sorry.
Called an antagonist.
Yeah, Matt tells MJ that he heard that she was being an antagonist in the house. And asked her to kind of like clarify that. And then they were interrupted by Brittany, and the conversation kind of like was in the middle of happening. So then she left feeling pissed, goes back to the girls and is talking about, it's like, we need to air this out. Like, who said this about me and why are you lying? And that's where the Jasenia of it all came into the picture.
I mean, I'm happy that she holds her ground, Jasenia, because so MJ thought that she was going to be able to kind of stomp all over Jasenia because she seems small. She seems quite like soft-spoken, but she was not going to allow her to bully her or like walk all over her. I was very happy that she stood her ground there. I was like, go Jasenia, don't let this girl push you around. Not at all. And I don't think that MJ was expecting to have to go toe-to-toe with little Jasenia. So,
and she really did hold it down. Like I loved how she was just like straight up with her, and she just didn't give her anything to run with, because then all MJ had to say was, oh, well, you're attacking me, you know? And it's like, not quite. That's not how that works.
And then what she kept on saying over and over again, I lead by example.
I lead by example.
And I'm like,
She's like, I lead with harmony and peace. I'm like, okay, we're going to need some receipts about how you've led with harmony and peace this season ever.
And then Katie pipes in. See, that's when I went, uh-oh, Katie pipes in. So she's like the little mouthpiece bulldog that comes around, and like, that's her new role now. And I'm not really here for it. Like, it was fine when she was standing up for Sarah, but I don't need now Katie to always be the one that's like basically being the Victoria, but like for good, you know?
I mean, kind of, but I disagree, I guess, because I just saw it as her being like, MJ's lying, and I know, and I'm gonna also like stand with the person that's calling her out and just be like, you're deflecting, because that is what was happening. So I think it's like more so her trying to like be there for someone who is trying to make their point, and MJ's just straight up like basically lying about everything. So
I totally agree. Like her like kind of joining forces and standing up, like giving Jasenia some support. I'm just saying though, I'm just noticing a pattern with Katie being the one to insert her into these kind of arguments. So just,
I guess she's just kind of at this point, like accepted that she's gonna be the person that
defends everybody.
Defends it, yeah.
So I'm just saying, I feel like it's gonna come back to haunt her.
I mean, it's never good to be like, as much as it's good, like from a human perspective, for her to be doing what she's doing, and I like respect it, because we could all inject some of Katie's ideas into our actions. I still think that it's not great to be in the mix of the drama like that regularly, so, like for the show.
Bean agrees that Jasenia definitely held her ground. I was surprised by her energy. Yes,
me
too. So Natalie was wondering when the Women's Tell All was going to be, and apparently it records this weekend.
Oh.
So how far behind are we? It's like, so is it still going to be 5 weeks or so until the Women Tells All?
I guess, right? Like, how many episodes are there? I'm guessing there will be 1 week where they do like 2 episodes, because they love to do a double, like maybe like Fantasy Suites, and around that time they usually do like two in a week. So maybe we're like 4 weeks away from it.
Maybe the end of February or the first week of March might be a Women Tell All, maybe, or second week.
I think April is like their off month, and like off month in terms of like it's not airing, and then Bachelorette is usually in May, but I don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is though.
That makes sense though, that them getting back on track. MJ Runway walk after
MJ in that power suit, like strutting. Stretching.
Actually, so we can kind of just speed through the rest of this. So Kit has her first one-on-one date. She's excited. And I don't know did they read a date card? I didn't write it down. Oh, dinner at my place, ? Matt. And so she was really touched by this, for the fact that she has mentioned to Matt that one of the things that she really enjoys is doing some cooking moments with her mom. And so she was quite touched that he listened, and he created a date that would be, centered around that, something that she heard her say that she loved to do. I was really unimpressed with the fact that she had to walk in the rain to his house.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, this whole scene was so silly. Not Matt cleaning for her to, like, I love that, like really trying to portray that Matt's tidying up the space. Don't kill me. And then he also said, well, I know that Kit's a little fashionista, so, I got to be on my A game. And my guy is wearing a ribbed hoodie. Sorry? Like, it looked fine on him, but that's not fashion forward, Matt. Your Angora purple sweater that was fuzzy earlier was more fashion forward than this ribbed hoodie, but all right. Gotcha.
I'm definitely dying. I was thinking, I was like, you don't look bad, but you don't look like you're going to be hanging out with a fashionista. at all. They don't click like fashion aesthetically. I think if he was being dressed as a model for a fashion show, him and her could work. But she's only 21, but she seems to me too cool for him.
Yeah.
She's just too cool. And it could just be because of her life experience. Like, she does mention that she grew up in the, gold Rolls Royces, and like her mom probably went to fashion shows every week and being, amongst many of the celebrity. And so I just don't see him gelling that well into her world with what she enjoys. It just doesn't seem like it to me.
Yeah.
She's young, things could change, but no, I don't know. Just to finish off with the group date, Abigail actually ended up getting the group date rose. So I was happy that she got some reassurance from him, especially because she shared that vulnerable moment. So that happens. And then back to the date. So yes, he had to dress to impress Kit, but he didn't, in my opinion. She walks in the rain. Question, do you order dessert first?
No.
Do people do that?
Not that I'm aware of, but I guess they were making cookies.
I guess, but I'm not a dessert person in general. Sometimes I'll have a dessert at the end, but I'd rather have like another like snacky thing as opposed to dessert, or like a cheese tray as opposed to dessert.
Right. Yeah, not first. No. That's for after.
He said he orders first. Anyways,
maybe
I thought it was just trying to tie in making cookies, as opposed to like being something that he really, really did in real life.
Making cookies is a lot like love. You have to put all the right ingredients into the bowl and mix it together just right.
Exactly. You should start writing for The Bachelor.
I should, because it needs a script at this point.
They have a writer. They have a writer on the show. So
Are they writing out the date cards? Because that's the only writing I've seen.
Yes, I think they are. They are. So they both talk about them being surprised by their feelings for each other. She gets the rose, and I said the kiss was okay.
Yeah.
That's about it. I didn't really write that much about their date. I liked them together-ish. I think I just like Kit's face. Like, I think she's just cute. I'm surprised that she would be, I would think, roped into the mean girl category, especially from the beginning, walking around with Victoria, kind of allowing a little bit of that toxicity to brew. But she is really young and probably a little bit impressionable by older people and still kind of having those high school vibes. So I'll give her a pass. But do you think that if he finds out about Kit, that he will send her packing?
No, I think she managed to get out of it. It seems like she was early enough in the apology train for people to not completely shit on her for doing that. So I think she's fine. My main thing with Kit that I wrote down is I was like, is Kit a Taurus? Because she mentioned she like being in the kitchen and like when she hangs out with her partners, like the simple pleasures, and that a lot of people like see that she has a wall up and when she lets her wall down. And I was like, that is a Taurus-y vibe.
Oh my God, you're vibing with Kit because you're twin Tauruses?
Yeah, I was like, I like these things too. Although my mother is not a famous fashion designer, so we can't relate on that. But
okay, I'm trying to find the list though. Hold on, let's see if I can get.
I got very earth sign vibes from her, but I could be wrong.
She's quite grounded as well, which would make sense with that too. Well, I can't find it right now. Yeah, Kit is only 21, Bean. Yeah. Can any of you guys find for me quickly, like, what her birthday is? Matt is 30, yes. She does have Taurus vibes, though, Tamika. She really does.
She does.
I hear what she's saying. Wait, yeah, last year's After the Final Rose was around March 10th. That seems about when this is going to be lining up. And Tamika hears that we're going to get an After the Final Rose this season.
Agreed.
Okay, so Bean says, has Katie gained confidence? Yes, maybe that's what it is. Like now she has like me standing up for the girls is good for my image on this show. I'm getting more airtime. From initially pointing out the bully to Matt will continuously injecting herself in confrontation, get her in trouble. I think so. That's what I'm saying. Nailed it. She is at May 20th. Yes, Tanya. Yes, Tanya. She's on the cusp, but like good.
He's on the cusp, yeah.
Good call. Good call. Hi, M. Jordan. Yes, of course I remember you. Of course. Yes, me and Brazil. Brazil sometimes pops on here still. I do remember. Of course I do. This is Tanya. Tanya, she came in. We were doing Tasha season together. You did most of them. And what was before that? Did I do that before as well? I don't remember. The whole summer was a whole blur. I was guessing almost at least once every day. So I do remember you, Jordan, and thanks for hanging out with us again. We're almost at the end of this Bachelor podcast, but we do this every week, usually on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So, Kit, born May 20, 1999. Man, that's so young. And a 21-year-old member of the Gen Z. Sorry, we're Canadian. We say Z. Lord, now I gotta like.
Yes, you got it.
Do you know what though? Remember I was saying like I like how she delivers things. She has like a little bit of a dryness to how she delivers her humor stuff, which is a little bit similar to you.
I'm feeling it. I felt the energy bull to bull, like I could sense it. Real, recognize real. This is a fun tidbit. So like I watch a lot of Real Housewives, which and somebody made a chart of like what all the housewives' sun signs were. And first of all, earth signs run Bravo, like the most are earth signs, which is hilarious. But then Taurus is like one of the most common signs for the housewives. So I think something about like maybe like the way Tauruses engage with their surroundings and like cultivate like a cool atmosphere and like luxury and like self-care reads really well for reality TV, but reads poorly for me because I am a Taurus. So I'm like,
and Venus and like so they're gonna so it's gonna be relationship stuff and like sensual taste food opulence, as you said, clothes, design, like it is in that world of opulence. So that makes a lot of sense, girl.
Yep.
I think that we should look at all the different shows and see if there's like a common theme of, like on Below Deck, are they all water signs?
Right. I know I've done this research for a few things. Like I know on Vanderpump Rules, they're like majority water signs, or like a lot of them are actually Cancers. Yes. Which I think is really interesting. And it does make sense for Real Housewives, which is like kind of like hinging on that lifestyle porn mentality where we're seeing these beautiful homes or whatever. It makes sense that there would be like a lot of earthbound signs kind of running that. So it's interesting to think about. There's some crossover there.
Brittany from Vanderpump and I have the same birthday, and she's one Aquarius that I'm like, I don't see us as alike. I don't see how you could like what's his name?
Jax.
Like,
don't get me started. Jax.
Yeah, exactly. Like Brittany, like how are you with Jax? And you're like, you're born the same day as me. We don't like people like Jax. We would be like, no.
I mean, that's a whole other thing to unpack. We can definitely take that one offline. I've got a lot of thoughts.
Okay, well, no problem. Busy with uni, that's okay. We're always here for you every week. We're always here. So thanks for stopping back in, Jordan. Okay, so let's just finish this episode. That's pretty much it for the date with them two. And then they need to find out the truth of what's going on between MJ and Jasenia. So apparently they're going to have kind of picking up from what they did with Bennett and Noah, with having a 2-on-1 date before a rose ceremony is what seemingly is going to happen here. They cut to that scene. I didn't see if they walked there or not. I don't know how I missed it. But MJ is saying that she's embarrassed to be here and why is she here, and because of the comment of JV versus varsity. Like, you could make that sound okay, but the way that they're reacting, like MJ, is making it sound bad. Like, you could be like, oh my God, like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't even really think of it as a mean thing. I thought it was being funny and it wasn't. I can see how it can come across as bullying. I'm so sorry. Like, wrong. Say that. Not be like,
I just think she's
dumb.
I'm worried though, because so I'm definitely like team Jasenia on this argument, of course. I'm concerned based on the preview that he actually does send Jasenia home, because I feel like we saw MJ in like a later setting that implies to me that she gets to stay, and then we don't see another shot of Jasenia outside of what she's already wearing in that scene where she's talking to MJ. So I'm a little bit worried that he's going to pull like another Marilyn situation where he keeps MJ and lets go of Jasenia. I'm worried.
I'm not sure both of their backgrounds, but they appear to be both Filipino to me. So could it be that he does not appreciate a Filipino woman?
I mean, I hope not, but also who knows? His judgment of these situations has not been great so far, except for this episode. So
if he doesn't keep Jasenia, then like he's a clown. Like
right.
that's just not right. Especially if you're pulling this like, I'm cutting out all the bullshit. No Victoria. No Anna. No all these people. Like if he's getting these people out, and then he keeps MJ, who's like, I actually am disliking her more than these other women right now, because like how she's reacting is like just kind of nasty, and like there's no humor to it, and she's not, to me, seeming like someone that's enlightened at all. Anyways, I'm not really impressed with how she's handling it. And I would rather Anna there over MJ at this point. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
if he doesn't keep Jasenia, I'm actually mad at him. I'm mad at him.
Yeah, like I feel like he's not like gonna go far with Jasenia in any way. Like she's someone that's probably gonna be eliminated soon anyways, but also like really like after everything that's happened and all the information you've received, and even just how her behavior was on that group date, like are you really, really gonna side with her in this situation to find out the truth? Come on, Matt.
No, exactly. He better not. Unless he keeps them both and then gets rid of them both at the rose ceremony.
That's possible too. Like, I don't know what will happen, but that's just what I saw in the preview. So it gave me reason for pause, because they kind of did the same thing with Marilyn, where we didn't really see her in the preview at all, but we obviously saw Victoria. And I'm just like, well, that's what's going to happen.
Oh boy. Matt, Don't do it. Don't do it, Matt. MJ is the Regina George from Mean Girls. Yeah, she kind of is. But she's just not like, I liked Regina George.
Yeah.
So the 2-on-1 we didn't ask for, to get rid of both of them. LOL. I mean, I don't hate Tanya, but there's nothing. She's not really bringing that much to the story. I'm happy she stood her ground with her, but I don't see her and Matt together. I don't see MJ and Matt together, so they can both go. But I don't. They can only both go, or just Jasenia stays. It can't be MJ stays. Like that's not an option in my books.
Yeah. Especially if he's on his safe space journey, like then you gotta keep standing your ground.
Got the right people, or you're gonna lose the faith of your audience. Well, that was definitely an episode. I was going to talk about what are we doing? Some research? What were you looking at?
I don't think I was, but
something new for now. Did I kind of say that we should do something?
We're gonna do a Bachelor, like potential Bachelor in Paradise draft at some point.
Oh, okay. We're doing a bet on whether or not next episode Tyler and him, or Tyler, will be shirtless. So what do you think?
Okay, so I feel like in my gut that we won't see them shirtless together.
Okay.
However, what a missed opportunity if so. You know, like I feel like if they do, it will be something really ridiculous. Like you mentioned, like a pickup basketball game, or like some ridiculous scenario of guys hanging out where they would be shirtless together. But for some reason in my gut, I just don't feel like we're going to see it.
No chopping wood, no. Tyler and his opening package for The Bachelorette, where he's like dancing around, I think he was shirtless around like a construction site.
Yeah, of course.
like there, that maybe that's the thing. Maybe there'll be a dancing shirtless moment around some, construction home.
Maybe.
Okay, well, you're going to take the no, they're not. I'm just going to play the other side, and I'm going to say, yes, they are going to find a way to have them both shirtless. They'll find a way. They'll find a way.
Oh, time will tell. Time will.
Ooh, I forgot about this. Will Heather bring the drama? I
No.
think so. I'm not sure why she's there.
Seems like not a good time to arrive.
I just I don't need any more girls. I need them to cut them down. I want 6 girls left. I don't want 15 still.
Also, Heather Love, you're friends with Hannah Brown. Why you didn't talk to Matt before? Or is that what they're gonna say? Oh, I know Matt from before and I wanted to come on. It's been too much time. We already got 5 new girls. We don't care. I hope they kind of breeze past that.
I don't know if I'm making this up, but I think I heard that Matt was interested in Heather and called her. So I can't with you.
God damn it, Matt. Really?
I don't know. So that's kind of what either I
He called her?
I don't think that she'll last more than an episode.
No.
Yeah, she's also someone that doesn't bring any real personality or vibes that are just going to be life-changing.
No.
Even quarantined. Yeah, I think she did. Well, yeah, a picture of her. I think she would have quarantined. I'm curious if the stylist guy and the farmer, if they quarantined. That's what I'm curious about.
No masks. They weren't even wearing masks.
Mm-mm.
I love that they try and make it seem like she drove up to the resort also, in her personal vehicle. I'm oh God.
No. Well, it was a great episode. I'm excited to see how this all unfolds with our lists. I think that's what I'm most excited about, is see whether or not he's going to be shirtless or not. There's going to be a Peloton ad or not.
We haven't seen a Peloton in weeks.
What are they doing here? What are they doing? They're going to have a exercise date.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Or one of those yoga, sexy dates where they're we're going to do couples, partner yoga or whatever. We'll have to do one of those soon for sure.
Stare at each other. It's so awkward for me for that. It's not
always so uncomfortable. I can't.
Chantele could not even say Matt called Heather.
It's true.
Thank you, Tamika. Thank you, BB.
Thanks for listening.
Natalie, Jordan, for being back in the groove of things with us. If I missed anybody. Sam, of course. Dino, thanks for hanging out. If I missed anybody, obviously we love having you here. Aisha, hello and goodbye. Do you have anything you're working on right now, Tanya, that you want to share with the peoples? And Dolores, of course. Hi, Dolores. Bye, Dolores.
This is the hardest work I do all week. So
that's right. We're getting the facts. We need to go to Twitter. I'm gonna go to Twitter. I'm going to be on it. I'm gonna be on it with the gossip more.
We can bring in a segment next week that's things that happened in Bachelor Nation.
Yeah, maybe a little. I know it's already long, but okay. I'm glad that you enjoyed the recap. We love talking with you guys, of course. So thanks for being here. My favorite part of the episode is when I get to use that.
Yes.
So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with your friends. If you know somebody that likes listening to Bachelor podcasts or talking about it ad nauseum like we do, we will be here for you next week as usual. Join us today Wednesday? No, today's Tuesday. Tomorrow night, where we do the challenge, which has always been a lot of fun. And then Thursdays at about 11 p.m. we do RuPaul's Drag Race UK. We do another podcast about that. So join us in one of those or next week with The Bachelorette with us. Ciao. Dead. Oh, did I not end it?